Alabama has two more players go in the first round of the NFL draft, keeping an absolutely amazing streak alive.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. Well, that's normally him, but not today. He has got some family commitments. Totally understand that. It happens. Want to thank FanDuel for sponsoring this episode and appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you every day for being here every day. You newbies for being here today, and everybody for making us your first listen every single day. So it's too much has happened for us not to do a podcast. So even without Jimmy, I thought, hey, let's go ahead and knock this out, because very happy for Jihaad Campbell and for Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker specifically, what a great spot for him to land in Dallas. He goes number 12. It's a bit of a surprise for him to go that early. He, I think most people are going to grade this pick as sort of a C plus, B minus. They need an interior lineman. They need linemen, period. They have not been doing a great job of protecting Dak Prescott the last couple of years. And I think Dallas is one of those teams that gets caught up in, the thrill of it all. They love CD Lamb, and that's great. CD Lamb is fantastic. But if you can't block for Dak Prescott, it doesn't matter how good CD Lamb is. He's not going to get the ball. So I get it. I get that Tyler Booker is a fantastic pick there, in my opinion. Now, did they reach a little bit? Probably. Could they have traded back? Well, you never know how those things work. Everybody says just trade back, and go into the 20s, Tyler Booker will still be there. Well, you don't know that he'll still be there. And if you target a guy, and if you have a guy that you want, you go get him. And Tyler Booker, here's what I think Dallas is going to love about him. He's tough. He's experienced. He's been playing in the best conference, which is very much like playing in the NFL. And I think that he's a leader. He's got plenty of energy. If you saw his reaction after he was drafted, you know what I'm talking about. He was ecstatic. He probably had one of the greatest entries coming into the draft. Or coming onto the stage of anybody yesterday. Now, I mean, there were some other cool ones. Travis Hunter, did his little signature dance. But Travis Hunter's seemed more choreographed. Tyler Booker looked like he was genuinely thrilled. Like he was just like, this is awesome. I love this. I'm a Cowboy. And he gave Jaylen Milro this gigantic bear hug. And I think that enthusiasm is a shot in the arm that Dallas is going to need. And his leadership, this is a guy who was, on the leadership council. This is a guy who's a team captain for Alabama. He's been a team captain during some tumultuous times, during the end of the Saban era and the beginning of the DeBoer era. I think that speaks volumes. He's been a part of some great teams. He's been a part of SEC championship teams. He has been to the playoffs. He's seen some disappointments too, that you can't devalue some of the disappointments, because it shows you how you react when things like that happen. They talk about that on the draft sometimes. Like, they don't necessarily want players all the time who've only won their whole lives, because if you don't know disappointment's going to get you at some point. And if you don't know disappointment, we don't know how you're going to deal with it. And I think Tyler Booker has shown he knows how to deal with it. Not only that, he stayed at the same school the whole time. What does that mean? Cam Ward, he moved around a lot. He was at Incarnate Word. He was at Washington State. He was at Miami. But, I think there is something to be said for commitment. And I'm not saying it has to be that way for everybody for you to be good. But I think for Tyler Booker, it certainly speaks volumes. He's the first Bama drafted by the Cowboys since Trayvon Diggs in 2020. And it's been, maybe I'm just dreaming this. I didn't go do a lot of research. I just didn't have time to. but I know Dallas drafted, I think, Bo Scarborough in the 7th round in like 2018. But I just don't remember the Cowboys drafting a bunch of Bammers. And so I think it's interesting that they went after him this particular time. And it leads to my next guy who is picked, which is Jihaad Campbell going to the Eagles. So now, I mean, the two Alabama players that get picked, they go to the same division. They are arch rivals. Jihaad Campbell going 31 to the Eagles is the Eagles, man. Can they just, sometimes you just get on a roll as a program and like you just fall out of wells and money just drops in from the sky. Or in this case, fantastic linebackers who are incredibly versatile fall in from the sky. I want you to think about this for a second with the Eagles. Now that Jihaad is there, they also have Landon Dickerson. They also have Jalen Hurts. Now, they list him as an Oklahoma guy, but we know he's a Bama. They have Devontae Smith. They have Cam Alatu. They have Eli Ricks. They have Tyler Steen, and they have Byron Young. They have 23 SEC players on the Eagles roster. What if I'm the SEC? I'm plastering that on billboards everywhere. The Super Bowl champs had 23 SEC players. I mean, and I'm not even including Jihaad Campbell on that list yet. Okay, so now they have 24 because he's obviously going to make the team. And then you have I'm not even including Oklahoma and Texas guys. Oklahoma and Texas now in the SEC, but I didn't choose to include them in this because I thought, well, they really weren't in the SEC, but for 1 year already. So, I just feel like if you're the SEC, you plaster this everywhere and you say, yeah, we get you ready for the NFL. Not only do we get you ready for the NFL, when you get to the NFL, you have success if you come to the SEC. Now, again, this is both good and bad news for teams like Alabama because the better the SEC is, the more difficult it is to win the SEC, and the more difficult it is probably to win a national championship because you get beat up. But I'm a pro SEC guy. I'll never cheer for Auburn under any circumstance. At the same time, when Auburn wins the national championship in golf, I'm like, at least it's the SEC, right? And when Auburn and Florida made the Final Four, I'm like, at least it's the SEC. So I just found that interesting. I think Jihaad Campbell to the Eagles is just a spectacular pick. Jihaad he's a top 15 player in this draft, but I don't think a player like him is going to be drafted that high. It's not, again, I'll say this, I may be wrong. Mel Kiper and everybody else may disagree. I don't think this is a fantastic group of players like this world-class draft. I think it's a pretty good draft. And I think in normal circumstances, this is where Jihaad should go, like around 31. I think in this draft, I think he's one of the top 15, 17 players in this draft. I love him. Now, I'm a Gump myself, so I'm certainly biased. But I think that's great. Now, the next question is, what about Jaylen Milro? Because that is interesting. And what about some of the other things that happened in the draft? Well, that's what we're going to get into next. But right now, I need to tell you about Amazon Fire Stick TV. Look, I don't know what to tell you, but I know that this is a big deal. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? I didn't know that until I started doing these live reads. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25. That's what I'm looking forward to. Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com, Fire TV Locked On. That's Amazon.com, Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube third generation. I hope all of you know what that means. I am not very technically inclined. Okay, so getting a few questions here about Randall Green says no. I think he's answering. Do Do I know what that means? I don't know what it means either, but I know a lot of young people do. I have young kids and they're all like, this is so cool. So I know it's more for a younger thing. Now, Christopher Ade says, is that your real name? Christopher Ade? What a name. He says, do we think Milro will be picked before Sanders? Okay. That's a good question. Let me tell you something. Mel Kiper, notwithstanding, who lost his mind. By the way, my hair is beginning to get more Mel Kiper-y right now. Mel Kiper, notwithstanding, who apparently has a very personal and deep, affectionate relationship with Shedeur Sanders, the way he was gushing over him yesterday. I'm not so sure. I would have bet $1,000 that Shedeur goes before Milro yesterday. Now I don't know. And look, I think Shedeur is a better passing quarterback. I don't think anybody in the world is going to argue Milro's a better passing quarterback. But the question does come up, like, do you want a guy who's already like redone his room and he did a special draft room. He had a draft room built for himself. And it just had legendary, which is apparently his brand or his whatever, all over it. He apparently had some really awful NFL interviews. Colorado really didn't win a lot with him. Now, was that all his fault? Probably not. But they did have that Horn Jr. kid. They had obviously the Heisman Trophy winner. They don't play in the toughest league in the country, and they had Shedeur Sanders. I mean, they just didn't win a lot. Milro, while he had some horrible games, I mean, don't get me started on Oklahoma or Michigan. He's won some big games too. He's beaten some teams like Georgia twice. Jaylen Milro was undefeated against Georgia in the middle of Georgia's greatest run ever. And Milro is also very personable. Milro's got a gazillion-dollar smile. He is got all the tools you want in a player, and he's got some things you can fix as a passer. I don't know about Shedeur and his ego. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's got Deion Sanders' ego, and he doesn't have Deion Sanders' talent. That is not an insult. Who does have Deion Sanders' talent back when he was in his prime? Not many people. So what I'm saying is maybe Milro does go before Sanders. I'm not going to bet on it still. At this point, though, now that Shedeur has fallen as much as he has, I wonder if it's not better to take a chance on a Milro. And by the way, whoever does it will get killed for it. As my phone rings, and I'm sorry. We're just going to have to work through the phone ringing. I'm sorry about that. But what I'm saying is, would you rather take a guy who has a gigantic ego, maybe a sense of entitlement, and even though he's a great passer and great bloodlines, or would you rather take a guy who has shown, hey, look, he's a community-driven guy. He's a team-oriented guy. I know some people say Milro, the report came out that if Milro had come back to Alabama, a lot of players would have transferred. I don't think that's because of his attitude. I think that's because they thought he couldn't get the ball to him. Again, and see, they only have so many years in college to fix that. In the pros, if he goes somewhere where he can learn, you got a couple of years. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. So he's got time to learn this. This is his career now. It's not college. So I'm saying it's not going to blow my mind if Jaylen Milro goes before Shedeur. Again, I wouldn't have predicted it. I still won't predict it. But here's my thinking. Imagine this for a second. When Milro gets drafted, I believe he will walk to the stage, give the commissioner or whoever is announcing this a gigantic hug, and have this smile that you just can't. I mean, it's just like permanently tattooed on his face. And he's going to be humble, and he's going to be grateful, and he's going to talk about everybody who's helped him get there. I believe, and I'm predicting when Shedeur gets drafted, he may walk up there with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, maybe even almost pouting, in the sense that, and the first thing he's going to think is, I can't wait to make everybody pay for not drafting me earlier, but not in a underdog way, like in a, you should have picked me earlier because I'm who I am kind of way. Now, maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not pulling against Shedeur Sanders. I got nothing against him. I'm just saying, I mean, we can all read body language, and we can all read Twitter. I mean, Shedeur Sanders gets into Twitter fights with Danny Cannell. That doesn't sound like the kind of quarterback you want leading your team. I mean, again, some people may think I'm wrong. I understand that. I am wrong constantly. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the two new tight ends that Alabama got next, right after I tell you about FanDuel. But I got to tell you about FanDuel because FanDuel's the best. Love FanDuel. It has been a sponsor for a long time. We appreciate them so very much. We appreciate all our sponsors, but FanDuel a lot. They've been here a long time. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. So don't miss out. And head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets right now at FanDuel.com. I would normally let Jimmy say the .com part, but he's not here. So Alabama gets two new tight end commitments. One from West Virginia we talked about yesterday, and then the kid from Troy who, look, we thought that when Alabama got Samarco that, that may be the end of the tight end commitments. And, well, it wasn't. Alabama targeted two, and they ended up getting Brody Dalton from Troy, who is more highly rated than Samarco. And, the one thing somebody did point out to me yesterday, we weren't killing Samarco, the kid from West Virginia, because he does his stat. And again, he didn't have stats. He has a stat, which is 1 catch for 4 yards in 13 games. But he was a true freshman, and he was playing in all 13 games. That does say something in the Big 12. So it's not like he was, at a Division III school, if they still have Division III schools, and, he was just bigger and badder than everybody, and he doesn't have a work ethic or anything like that. No, this kid is from the Cincinnati area. Great football there in high school. Then he goes to West Virginia, plays in all 13 games for West Virginia. Now, his stat was not pretty, but he played a lot. Now, Brody Dalton comes in from Troy, better receiver, highly coveted. This is a guy who I think a lot of teams certainly would have taken on their squad. Now, why did Alabama get two tight end commitments? The first thing I saw on Twitter when Brody Dalton committed from some people I respect on Twitter that follow me and I follow them, they were like, man, our tight end room must be trash. I don't think that's the case. I think what this staff values the tight end, and they know they need blocking tight ends for some of their sets. And we have some injuries in the tight end department. We also have a lack of experience in the tight end department. We've got a couple of tight ends coming in this class, but one of them isn't on campus yet, and they are they're going to be true freshmen in the SEC. Look, not everybody can be Brock Bowers from Georgia. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's going to be O.J. Howard. And even as good as O.J. Howard was, I don't think he was the best blocker in the world. Well, we need some blockers in that position. Cuevas, great, but been banged up. Marshall Pritchett, banged up. We've just got, Jay Lindsey had to fill in a lot. Danny Lewis, look, he's been a little banged up. He also, let's not forget this, he got in the transfer portal for a second. We were able to convince him to come out. But, that may stick with the coaches like, hey, we better make sure we have a backup plan here. Again, that's just a theory of mine, but I don't think it's crazy. So I'm not disappointed that we feel in the tight end room. If we had not gotten either of these guys, I'd feel okay. Getting these guys is a security blanket. It is the blanket on top of the comforter that's on top of the sheets on the bed. And your heater goes out, and it's not, 10 degrees outside, but it's a little chilly, and you're like, okay, I might need that extra blanket. You don't have to have it, but that's what these guys are. That little extra throw blanket that the dog usually sleeps on, at least my dog does. And this is all this is. These guys are throw blankets that we, just make us feel a little safer. So I'm cool with it. I think everybody should be. I don't think this is a testament to how bad the tight end room is at all. Look, I also understand this. There are a lot of folks out there that are just killing the moves because they're like, hey, isn't there another tight end out there that maybe, actually caught some passes? There's no doubt. There's no doubt. These two pickups, or at least the Samarco one, is about as sexy as an Amish strip club, right? It's not going to really move the meter. But it's sort of like if we got to transfer a punter in. It's the same thinking about a lawyer. Everybody hates lawyers until you need one. And everybody hates backup tight ends until you need one. And we may need one. We've been bitten by the injury bug in the past. So why not? We got the room. Let's go get these guys. And we did, and they targeted them. And again, here's another thing that I like about it. This staff last year, I think we all agree, was a little handcuffed. We can call the season disappointing. In the end, 9-4 is not super disappointing. It is by Alabama standards. But let's look big picture. Let's let this staff do their thing. Last year, I think they had to do a hybrid Saban-esque, please the fans, please certain players on the team to make sure everybody stays cohesive enough to get through the year. This year, I think they'll do their thing. And so if their thing is, hey, we want a cat that, hey, I know it sounds crazy. He's got one catch for 4 yards in his career. Let them go get him and let's see how it turns out. If it busts in their face, it's better to say if it blows up in their face, I think. If it blows up in their face, then it'll be on them, and then it'll be easy to place the blame. But what if I don't know that Josh Cuevas is a super blocker. I do love him as a receiver. We don't know that Danny Lewis is a super blocker. We haven't seen him play very much. We don't know that Marshall Pritchett is a super blocker or Jane Lindsey. But this guy, this Samargo guy, he's got some experience. So let's give him a shot, and let's give the staff a shot with that. Ryland Griffin, wanted to bring him up. Visiting Alabama today, I believe. This is somebody I would love to have back. There's some people who are like, that bridge is burned. I don't think so at all. Some people feel like he had some negative comments against Nate Oates. If you hold grudges in this sport right now, that's on you because, man, you better learn to forgive and forget. You got to be like, you got to be Jesus. You got to turn that other cheek because if you don't go get him, somebody else is, and he may come back to burn you. So I think Ryland Griffin coming back, this team will be fantastic. I would love to have him. He's familiar with the system. He's familiar with the league. He also went to Kansas last year and played at, arguably the bluest of blue bloods. And so he knows a little bit about that. He may be able to bring something that Kansas always does to Alabama, and maybe we can learn from it. So if anybody out there has a mad on for Ryland Griffin, I would say get over it. I'm hoping he joins the team. I would love to have him. I'm still holding out some hope that LeBaron Philon comes back. I'm still holding out some hope that somehow, some way we could convince Darian Reed to come back. I don't know that either of those things is going to happen. I'd love to get the kid from Tarleton State. That's another guy that Alabama's targeting. I think they made a good impression. And I certainly would love to get Cedric Coward from Washington State, who's down to Bama and Duke in that NBA. But, I would certainly be excited with that whole lineup. And frankly, in the end, I'm not saying it's better than last year's lineup, but I think that's a lineup that can challenge in the SEC. So get some of those guys and let's move forward. Then finally, just wanted to say a few more things about the draft. First of all, where would Jaylen Milro go? Look, I can't get the Steelers out of my mind when it comes to Jaylen Milro. I'm hoping. See, I think you think about the Steelers, they've had 3 head coaches in their franchise history. They've had 3 head coaches. That's bananas. The Browns have had like 3 head coaches since last Thursday. So it is bananas. It just tells you how well run of an organization the Steelers are. And I think that the Steelers could bring in a Jaylen Milro and say to him, okay, maybe an Aaron Rodgers. What if they bring in Aaron Rodgers and say, you're here for a year? Then after you go, we're going to this year, we're going to try and ease in Jaylen Milro. Now, I'll say this. I'm not so sure Aaron Rodgers is going to be the perfect mentor. I mean, he certainly got some things going on, some bats in the belfry, perhaps. But at the same time, you can't help but learn from him through osmosis, right? So maybe if Jaylen Milro were to go there, and you think about the kind of player and the kind of organization Pittsburgh is, they've never been a sling it all over the field. I know Roethlisberger had some great moments. I know Terry Bradshaw had some great moments. But when I think Pittsburgh, I think steel factories. I think rough, tough defense, strong catches in traffic, good running backs, that aren't maybe spectacular, break off 80-yard runs. But I think Najee Harris. I mean, I know he's not there anymore, but Najee Harris, is the kind of guy that, look, he wasn't breaking off 80-yard runs, but he was getting 3 to 4 yards every time. And that you can win in the NFL doing that. And so I think Jaylen Milro coming in, the Steelers have some weapons now too, by the way, at wide receiver. And the better weapons you can give a Milro, the better he's going to look, So DK Metcalf can make Jaylen Milro look pretty good, even if his passes aren't super accurate. So I would love to see him go to the Steelers. I keep hoping beyond hope that somebody like the Giants don't draft him. But now that they've drafted Jackson Dart, I don't think they will. I keep hoping beyond hope that the Browns don't draft him, or one of these organizations that just never can seem to get it right. I want him to go to a place where he can learn a little bit, where they're patient, and where he can be invested in the community. And I think there's no better program, or what do you call them? God knows, I'm blanking. No better city and organization. That's what I'm looking for. Holy cow. No better organization than the Steelers. Again, everything about the Steelers is Pittsburgh, and everything about Pittsburgh is the Steelers. And I think there's a very symbiotic relationship. And again, having spoken to Jaylen Milro myself, I'm not like I'm best friends. I can't text him, but I have been around him some, and I have spoken to him. I'm going to tell you, for those people that have killed him and they're so thankful he's left Alabama, I get it. He wasn't perfect as a player. As a dude, he's really, really down to earth, and he's very easy to talk to. And I'm telling you, he cares about wherever he is, wherever his feet are, he cares about that. So I think that if he were to go somewhere like Pittsburgh, I think he would be embraced, and I think people would also be a little patient. The NFL is never patient, but patient as they can be with Jaylen Milro and his learning curve. So, all right, guys, sorry if I rambled. Sorry about the phone call. Sorry about all this. It was me by myself. And if it was just me and Jimmy were here, I could have muted during the phone call. So sorry about the ring. I know it's loud, but appreciate all you guys chiming in and being here. You guys are the best. Jimmy and I'll be back soon. Y'all send a little prayer his way. They got a little medical thing going on, not with Jimmy, not with his wife, but a family matter. So send a little prayer his way. And until next time, everybody, roll tide.